Okay, we're back again, and I finished concussing my golden heirloom tomatoes, and they're so delicious. My beautiful sweet peaches, I have juiced and I have zested some lemons. I have some lemons here, and I'm going to do another one. And to make sure that I get all those ingredients that I have in my mind, because I'm thinking, how do I want this salsa to taste? Okay, so you've been out to dinner, right? And you've had some salsa with maybe some quesadillas. So how do you turn a salsa into a jam? That's easy. You just measure up you weigh your fruits, whatever you use, and I have like 4 pounds of peaches, and I have some tomatoes, a couple pounds of tomatoes, and then you have to figure out the weight of your how much sugar you use in jam. Of course, jam's going to need a lot more sugar than the chutney. And it's going to need probably twice as much, maybe 3 times as much more. And so you have to figure out, if you're using a jelly, that's a completely different ratio. And again, because this is a low pectin, it's a very ripe tomatoes and peaches. So I'm going to need some pectin in there. So that's going to be my lemon and lime juice that I've also, but I'm thinking, okay, so how do I want my salsa to taste? And when I go out to a meal and I have a quesadilla, or of course this is going to go on a piece of toast or pancakes or waffles, so what do I want to bring to the palate? So like I said before, this has the glutamate in it, which is an umami. And when you incorporate flavors together, you're going to enhance the flavors of whatever you're incorporating. So by bringing this to the table, the tomatoes, it's going to enhance the flavors of the peaches. Or the lemons are going to enhance the flavors of the peaches. So, with that saying, and I'm thinking I want a little bit of onions, but do I really want that oniony flavor? So I thought about red onions. That should go well. I may not even put all those red onions. And then, of course, I want the peppers in there. So I have a variety of jalapenos and some serrano peppers. And then you want to put, if you want to add the chili flakes, you can. I have the peppercorns that I'm going to put in a sachet. So I'm going to put some ingredients in a sachet. I didn't keep the peelings as one of the recipes that I was following. It says when you're making your jam, your peach jam, you save the peelings and then you put it in a sachet. And I didn't really want to do that this time. I think I want to use some other ingredients for my sachet. So, and I may want to even put a little bit of cardamom in it. I'm not going to heat them up. I'm going to probably put them in there raw along with the garlic. So I want to enhance these flavors. And as you see, when I trimmed the jalapenos, I trimmed the outside, completely discarding the seeds. So I have no seeds in my tomatoes, and that was the technique. The concasse is the technique that you use in removing the peelings and removing the seeds, because you're boiling the tomatoes, you're peeling them, you're cutting them in half, and you're putting them through a sieve, and you're discarding. You want to keep the juices, you want to keep the liquids in your tomatoes. So, and that's called concasse. You could use that in your gazpacho, which is nice. And I got to do a video on gazpacho. And I also want to do that with your tomato soup maybe. So concasse is used in many different ways. So what I'm going to do right now, okay, So I have basically put my lemons through a sieve and or strainer. So, and that's a stainless steel strainer. And I want to, because I want to discard all the seeds out of there, the pulp. I don't really want the pulp. So get as much lemon juice as you can out of there. Okay. So I've already measured my tomatoes, and I've already measured my peaches. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the juices or the fluids from my tomatoes. I can get them to go through there, right? Okay, let's see. Take this out. So I want to heat up the oils. I want to heat up my fluids first, okay? So I've already pre-measured. Oh, and just to let you know, how I measured, I want to show you how I measured. I measured my, I have a weight, and you can get this anywhere, and I put a piece of plastic over it because what I did was I put some tomatoes on it, and the juice went in, and it kind of wasn't working, so I had to wait for it to dry out. So put a plastic over it, and then set it flat on there, and then you can par it, which means you put it on there, and then you pre-measure. You know, when you go to the store, grocery, the organic store, and they have you pre-measure your containers if you want to get bulk. So they put the price on there, or the ounces on there. So basically what this is doing the same thing. So I'm paring it by, I put it on the pounds or the ounces, whatever you use, and then you just press the button, and then it goes to 0. And then you measure it. So you don't measure it with your bowl. You want to measure it separately. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and measure out, and then I want to make sure I got that. Oh, okay, got that right. Okay, so I'm going to measure out 6 tablespoons of my 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm going to put one more. Because I kind of want to have plenty of pectin in that. And that means the acid that's going to preserve, it's going to preserve my salsa. So, back to making the salsa. I thought, okay, how do I want to create, what do I want to taste? So when I made peach salsa before, I put the tomatoes, and I actually used red tomatoes, but I'm not using red tomatoes. I'm using golden heirloom tomatoes. So I put the tomatoes, and I put my peaches, but I used it peeling and all. I didn't even peel them, but this time I did. And so after I did that, I mixed it all, and I put cilantro, and I put my salsa ranchera already made. So I mixed that in there, and then I put some red onions, and then I put a little bit of salt, and I even put cucumbers in it. So to kind of give it a little bit of a fresh flavor. When I made my my summer peach salsa, it was so delicious. I catered it for my clients that I had, and it was a winner. So I mean, you could do it like that. So what I'm going to do, I really kind of want these a little bit more minced up. So I am going to, that's probably about a 1/4 cup of these jalapenos and serranos, and they're really, really spicy. So I'm going to go ahead. I don't know if you can see that. I want you to see. Just put that here for a minute. Smash my other peppers. And so I'm just going to go ahead, and I want those finely done. I cut them up into small, but I want them finely diced. Because, and the finer you dice them, the more flavor that's going to come out of these peppers. I remember my sister used to tell me that. tell me, cut up the onions really, really tiny because then you'll have more flavor, which is true. So this will bring out the flavor. So it's boiling now, and I may not want it too spicy. So that's a nice. Okay, let me put my granny glasses on to make sure. Okay. Yes. I need my granny glasses. So, okay, we have that all chopped up nicely, okay? And I think that's good. If I take half of it, I'm thinking half. Because I think this is, yeah, it's spicy. So I would say that's a good tablespoon, a heaping tablespoon. And I'm going to leave it at that. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the onions, because I just want to basically blanch them before I put the fruit, because the fruit's not going to take very long to cook. Okay? Oh, we got to put the sugar. Oh, sugar! Got to heat up the sugar. So let's blast that real quick. And then get like, so I measured it out. So I need like 11 cups of sugar. Yikes. Yowzers, right? Yeah. Okay. It's late in Mary's kitchen, so kind of bear with me. It's going to be a long night. So I'm going to go ahead. Now you could use, I didn't get the fine sugar this time. I'm just going to use a regular, because it's a jam, and it's not a butter. I'm going to go ahead and measure out 1. That's a lot of sugar, I know. 2, 3, 4. And they have pectins that you can, 5. I mean, these are going to be gifts. It's like a little sweet get a sourdough piece of, piece of bread and have some of this. I mean, it's okay. What was that, 6? 7. Yeah, it's a lot of sugar. 8. 9. It's a whole freaking bag of sugar. So I'm just going to go ahead. I mean, I could use less of this, or I could use more. So I'm going to go ahead and heat it up so as I find some space. Okay, so that's heating up. That's already nice and blanched. I'm going to go ahead and add my, and I used the shallow pan because I wanted you to see. I may have to transfer it over into the bigger pot here, which I think I am going to have to do. So let's transfer it over. Not, because it's just not going to work. It's not going to work having this. Oh, okay. All right. There we go. I think I'm going to need more jars as well. Okay. Perfect. Let's heat that up. I'm going to turn this on so I can heat up some more, so I can sterilize some more jars. So I'm going to put this aside. I won't put any more in there. Okay. Heating up. So I want to cook my peaches first before I add my tomatoes. So I'm going to cook my peaches for about, I'm going to cook them for about a good 5 minutes. Okay. And then we'll put this aside somewhere. And I think I'm going to do a couple more videos of canning, and then we're going to move on. I think I'm pretty much canned out. I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest of this. It won't hurt it. Okay? Because if I want, the secret of making a good jam is to make sure that the sugar is going to dissolve in with the peaches and to thicken up. It's going to be sugary. It's going to be very sweet, and it's going to thicken up. So I don't need this. I'm going to put this back. These are organic, by the way. And I compared them. I scratched them, and I smelled them, and these are much more sweeter. And it depends. Now, some of you may disagree, and it's okay, but it depends on the topography. And so these are from Mexico, and they're organic. I don't know what they put in their soil or whatever, but it's organic, and you could tell the difference between when something is grown in a different climate, different topography than in another region, another land. So these are so delicious. I could smell the sweetness in them, and they taste yummy. So I had to get 2 packages of those. Okay. Okay, this is boiling really well. Okay, now, real quick story on this plane. I have to share this with you. As you know, I zested a couple of limes and lemons. Not that one, but this one. But the story about this is a really neat story. It's about a gentleman woman who needed to have her tomatoes, and she needed to have, it was a couple, and she needed to have her lemons zested, and the husband created this microplane for her, which is pretty cool. Was thinking about his wife, and he said, I want to be able to create something, and it took off. And every culinary place has this. You'll see this, because it was a thoughtful husband who was thinking about his wife, and he created this in it, and he made a living in selling them. So he got a patent on them, and I believe there's a patent on them, so I'm sure there is, but it's called the microplane, which is pretty cool. So I thought I'd share that with you. So this is taking its little sweet time. While that is heating up, I'm going to go ahead and put this over here. My sugar is heating up, and so I want to make a little sachet for my jam. And in my sachet, I thought about, I put pepper in my salsa when I make it. Some of you don't have to put pepper, but I do. So I'm going to put some peppercorns. I am like squeezed up over here in the corner, so I'm going to come out of this corner a little bit. Go ahead and cut a piece of that cheesecloth, and then go ahead. I'm not going to use any of this. I might. I don't know. I'll put it towards the end. So I'll go ahead and put the zest inside my sachet. And then I'm going to put a couple peppercorns, a few, kind of mix them up in there, hide them. Okay, and then I'm going to get some of this garlic. And I want a little bit of that garlic, which is also part of the umami flavors that the Western world uses in their culinary. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of that in there. So I want a little bit. Now, you can also make this into like a chutney. So, and I think this would be a wonderful chutney. Who knows? It might turn into a chutney. So, but I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And tie it up. I like the aromas of the cloves. I'm going to put a couple of cloves in there. I really like those. It just kind of brings a nice little warmth with the spicy foods that you use. Okay. And you just make that wonderful sachet. So I have peppercorns, I have lemon zest, I have lime zest, plus I have the juices of these. And I was going to use some cardamom, but I could use some cardamom. It does smell good. I think I want to use some cardamom. So what do? Open this back up carefully, because I don't have much stream. And then, because I have a little bit of time here. Alrighty, here we go. Just open it back up and then just, I'm going to pound it a little bit and put it in there. So I want to break those seeds open. So I don't need very much. So I'll probably take about 4 pods. Okay. Close that up, back tight. And then put it back. And just kind of pound it. Or smash it. However you want to do it. Well, that's not going to work. And usually you would toast these. So, okay. It's coming into a boil. You want to make sure that it doesn't stick on the bottom. Bring the fire down. Your heat down. Now I might use a little bit more. Okay, let's get a spoon and let's try it. I could use more, which is nice. It's not that spicy. What's that? A couple of teaspoons or a teaspoon more? Tablespoon, teaspoon? I would say so. Make sure you have your spoons handy. Okay, so that's looking nice. If you can see that, let me bring it to you. Okay, so there you have it. It's looking really nice. Now I'm going to go ahead and, well, I want to make sure that they're soft. And these are pretty ripe, so you don't always go by the recipe, because the recipe may call that the peaches are a little bit hard, and so they might need a little bit longer to cook, because you want to make sure that your sugar is going to be cooking in there. So I'm going to go ahead and get another spoon and try it again. I hear the crunch because of the peppers I put in there. That's okay, they'll soften up. Okay, that's soft enough.